Nathan Sears. In Final Destination 5, we're introduced to a twisted rule. If you're on death's list and you take someone else's life, you steal their remaining years.
Death have somebody else in your place, and then you take their spot in the realm of the living, all the days and years that they've yet to live. And they take your place in death.
Well, that's exactly what happens to Nathan, who, by accident, ends up causing the death of Roy Carson at work. So now, Nathan has taken Roy's years for himself. But then, in the final moments of the movie, we find out one tiny little detail.
Turns out Roy had an enlarged blood vessel in his brain so big, he's about to burst. They said he'd be dead any day now.
Dennis Lapman. Right after the accident at the factory, Dennis, the boss, comes down to talk to Nathan and the guys, trying to figure out what just happened.
Then who would be next?
Who's what?
Oh, Dennis, poor guy, you had no idea what was coming, did you?
Who's Dennis?
Samantha Lane. Samantha is one of the survivors from the initial accident in Final Destination 4. Unaware that she's on death's list, she heads to a beauty salon to get ready for girls' night. She brings her 2 kids along, who, for some reason, think it's fun to throw little rocks around.
Okay. No. Yes! Hey!
What are you kids, stupid or something? Get out of here.
Yeah, man, you've got a point, but smoking on the job isn't cool either. Samantha gives her kids some cash so they can play video games while she gets her hair done. And man, I think what top-tier service she's getting at this place.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
During the scene, a bit of cream drips onto the floor. The ceiling fan looks a little loose. And, well, we are watching Final Destination, right? Phew. So far, so good. Samantha gets her hair done and decides it's time to leave.
I've got my eye on you two.
But not for long, Samantha, because suddenly, remember those rocks her kids were throwing earlier? Billy Hitchcock. Man, it's hard to see this guy as anyone else. To me, he'll always be Stifler. In Final Destination, Alex saves a group of people from Flight 180. Among them are Billy, Clear, and Carter. As the movie goes on, Carter starts to lose it. And at one point, he drives onto train tracks and just waits for the train to come. Billy, Alex, and Clear manage to get out of the car. But Carter, he throws a tantrum and insists on staying like a spoiled kid. Seconds later, he realizes how stupid this is and tries to start the car and get out. But guess what? The car won't start. And to make things worse, he's stuck.
I can't get out!
At the last second, Alex manages to save him. Right after that, Billy starts venting about how selfish Carter is.
You're dead! You're dead!
Oh, Billy, he wasn't next. Kat and Rory. Kat is driving when suddenly one of her tires blows out and she loses control of the car. Phew, that was a close one. Kat ends up trapped inside the car because of a fallen tree trunk, and to make things worse, there's a sharp pipe positioned right behind her. A young guy tries to help, but it doesn't go so well. By the way, Rory saves the kid right after that. The scene goes on as firefighters arrive to help get Kat out of the car.
Could you be a little quieter with that thing, please?
This guy really should have listened, because for some reason he decides to hit the car even harder and ends up triggering the airbag. And yeah, remember that sharp pipe behind Kat? Well, it doesn't end there. Kat drops the cigarette she was smoking, and it causes an explosion. The blast sends a barbed wire fence flying straight toward Rory, and just like that, it's the end for him. Brian Gibbons. At the end of Final Destination 2, Kimberly and Thomas are enjoying a peaceful lunch. After all, they managed to escape death. But then they find out that the family who invited them over had a son, and he was actually saved by Rory. Yep, he's that kid. But when they finally realize he's next on death's list, it's already too late. Valerie Lewton. This is one of the most creative deaths in the Final Destination franchise, and it happens in the first movie. Ms. Valerie, the teacher, is home alone, terrified and paranoid because of Alex. She decides to pour herself a drink, but doesn't realize her mug is cracked. So she starts spilling alcohol all over the house without noticing. She even spills some on her computer, which causes a small explosion, and a shard of the monitor flies straight into her neck. Her house catches fire and she slips on the floor. Desperate, Valerie grabs a towel to stop the bleeding, but that only makes things worse as a knife ends up falling straight into her chest. Alex rushes in to help, but it's already too late. Olivia Castle. Okay, this might be the most memorable death in Final Destination 5, but there's another one I remember even more, and we'll get to that later. After surviving the initial disaster, Olivia decides to get laser eye surgery to fix her vision. As soon as she arrives at the clinic, she grabs a teddy bear to help calm her nerves, but once the doctor starts the procedure, she gets so scared that she accidentally rips out the teddy bear's eye. The doctor steps out of the room to check some data, and terrified, Olivia tries to grab the remote to turn off the machine, but ends up dropping it and activating the laser while she's still strapped in.
Oh, she's fine. We do this kind of procedure all the time.
Yeah, Doc. Looks like you were wrong. Olivia manages to break free from the machine, but ends up slipping on the teddy bear's eye and falls right out the window. Carter Daniels. In Final Destination 4, it all starts with that massive crash at a racetrack, and a few people manage to escape. One of them is Carter, who tells his girlfriend to stay behind and wait for him. Yeah, we all know how that goes. What's worse is that he ends up blaming her death on the security guard, and honestly, it becomes pretty clear the guy's just a racist jerk. Seriously, just look at his tattoo. Later in the movie, Carter, blinded by revenge, decides he's going to kill the guard, George. One night, he gets drunk, drinking tons of beer, and since he's on death's list, we already know things won't end well. He gets out of his truck to plant a burning cross in front of George's house, but suddenly the truck turns on and starts moving. Carter runs after it to try and stop it, but ends up getting caught on the tow hook and dragged down the street. Meanwhile, gas starts leaking along the road, and Carter ends up going out in flames. Frankie Cheeks? Wendy and Kevin head to the drive-thru, but Wendy starts noticing some strange things happening, and suddenly, a truck parks right next to them, blocking her door. To make things worse, there's another truck speeding toward them from behind, completely out of control with no one inside. They're yelling at Frankie, the guy right in front, to get out of the way, but his response? Well, oh, Frankie, you're gonna regret that. Kevin manages to break the window and the two of them escape just in time, but we can't say the same for Frankie. Sam and Molly. At the end of Final Destination 5, Sam and Molly think they've finally escaped death, and they decide to catch a flight. On the plane, Sam notices some kind of argument happening in the back. But he doesn't think much of it.
What's that about?
I have no idea.
Oh, Sam, you really should have asked someone, because of the people arguing back there. That was Alex and Carter from the first movie, so yeah, you know exactly what happens
A Oh,
next.
kid had a panic attack and wanted off the plane. Said he had some kind of vision.
No.
And just think about it. This death hits even harder because Sam realizes what's happening, but there's nothing he can do. All he can do is sit there and wait for the end, for himself and for Molly. By the way, it's the engine from that plane that ends up hitting Nathan. And man, I've got to admit, this is one of my favorite scenes in the whole franchise. That plot twist, absolutely cinema. Alright guys, from this point on, we're diving into spoiler territory for the latest movie, Final Destination Bloodlines. So if you haven't seen it yet and want the full experience, now's the time to click away. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Erik and Bobby. In Final Destination, Bloodlines' two major theories from the franchise are brought back. The first is the idea that if you kill someone, you take their remaining years of life. And the second comes from Final Destination 2, the theory that if you die for a few seconds and somehow come back, you cheat death. With that in mind, Erik comes up with a brilliant plan. He decides to make his brother eat peanuts, because earlier in the film it's made very clear that Bobby is extremely allergic and could die from even a small amount. And yep, that's the plan. Have him eat a peanut candy, and since they're already at a hospital, bring him back to life right after. Great theory, not so great in practice. Bobby eats the peanut candy, while an MRI machine starts powering up, pulling in every metal object around. The worst part? Erik has piercings all over his body. It's funny for a second, then it gets terrifying. A wheelchair gets pulled straight toward the machine, and takes Erik with it, ending his life in a way. And to top it all off, death finishes the job when a nurse opens the door, and a loose spring flies straight into Bobby's head. Bro, I'll admit, these two were actually pretty cool in the movie, especially Erik. So yeah, seeing them go out like that was kinda sad. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, it's popping up on your screen now. And if you've got any video ideas, drop them in the comments. See you soon!